What if the secret to ending the endless need for chemical boosters was tucked away in a little song sung by a village that had never known the world beyond the hills? In the highlands of Tala, a young botanist named Nara watched the horizon from her small cabin. She grew up listening to her grandmother's lullabies that carried 1,000 stories about the mountains and the earth. Yet every evening as the sun painted the clouds in gold, she felt a tug inside her, an ache that the world was losing its memory of how to be fertile. Her research had shown that the soil in cities and farms was dying because people had forgotten ancient ways of feeding the earth. On a rainy night, a traveler named Kian arrived, carrying a weary smile and a worn journal. The elders in Vora speak of a strange stone that keeps the land alive, he whispered, eyes bright in the lantern's glow. They say it is a code, a map hidden in the rhythm of their dance. Nara's heart skipped a beat. If a map existed, maybe it could point to something she had never imagined, a source of fertility that could replace the heavy hands of the chemical giants. She could not ignore that hunger in her chest. With Kian's help, Nara entered Vora, a village carved into the curve of a dry river bank. The people were gentle, their faces lined with kindness. The elders, older than the tallest cedar, sat beside a fire and hummed as they chanted. Each note rose and fell like footsteps on wet earth. Nara listened. The cadence of the chant mirrored the sweeping patterns of a wind that blew through their fields. One evening, when the sky was a bruised blue, the chief elder Maris stepped beyond the circle of fire. Her hands trembled as she handed Nara a small stone. This stone has a face, she said quietly, and it holds a path hidden in the songs of our people. She pressed the stone into Nara's palm and set her hand on the rhythmic drum beneath an old stone. Listen to the pressure, the beat and the breath, she said. And then she placed the stone beside Nara's ear as if it were a key to a secret world. Nara pressed her ear. The drum's rhythm intertwined with the faint wind, and a shadow of a road appeared in her mind, an invisible trail that brushed the ground in a pattern of circles, serpents, and spirals. The elders showed her that the pattern in the chant matched the paths of the river that cut through the valley below, flowing where the starflower known as prima flora climbed. The starflower's pollen, they said, could give soil a gift so deep that it would forever remember how to breathe. The priestess Mela told Nara, the mountain that hides the starflower is guarded by a secret. Those who seek it must walk the path of the drum and endure a test of heart. The next morning they crossed the river following the drum's music that seemed to echo from the land itself. As the sun climbed, the path turned into a narrow ridge that slid sharply toward a hidden valley. Curiosity and fear brushed against each other, forming a stubborn flame in Nara's chest. She dreamed in that valley of fields with plenty, of people dancing in abundance, and yet she trembled at the weight of eyes that followed her intent. At the valley's edge, a curtain of dark vines cradled the entrance. Nara pressed her palm against the cold bark. The stone in her hand glowed faintly. She whispered, "Let me see," and the vines slid aside, revealing a clearing as pale as moonlit snow. In the center, a single mass of starflowers swollen with golden bright pollen lay on a bed of moss. The flowers were delicate, like swerves of sunrise, and their pollen glittered like tiny suns. The valley looked untouched, a sanctuary where nature ran wild and generous. It was moments later that the scent of iron filled the air. Nitro-Gen, the iron-clad corporation that had taken over most of the world's farming, arrived. They sent their private militia, led by a man named Vark, who wore a suit of black metal. Vark answered to the elders of Vora, who had once been grateful but now followed the weight of contracts and contracts. The elders held a dream, to keep the valley safe from the world's greed. They believed that the valley's power would destabilize the global farmland and hurt their people more than help. Nara tried to put a seed of her harvest near the starflower. The soil turned dark, green, thin. The pollen laced itself into the roots, turning the seedling into a tower of green golden shoots more than a year, as if the earth itself were awake. The miracle hung like a candle in the living room of her mind. One plant could make all soil bloom, no need for steel or chemical. A beat or two later, a glint appeared behind her. Vark's lit gun. He shouted, "We will not let you destroy our future." Nara's nose twisted in surge. "Your future is built on greed," she ventured, but her voice cracked from fear. She thought of the valley, of villages that lost ways to grow, of elderly women who held dry memories of the earth's songs. She faced Vark's twisted lightning, but before their swords could strike, the elders felt a pulse from their own ears. They went over to the gate. "What's happening?" Murray screamed. "I see the light of the pollen." The valley is exploding. We must stop you. You cannot think, Mary said, her voice soft in the night. We only wish to protect. She tried to confide that they thought the valley could never hold the equatorial pollen without choking the land around. She imagined them standing in an open hillside, each sharing the pulse of earth in exchange for life. Nara thought of everything. She had been 14 years old and full of doubt when the dance first gave her a map. She had taken her love for the project, knowing unexpected dance patterns hide secrets of the earth. The valley could change the world into a green, pulsating thing that never measured the trade between kindness and the absence of hunger. Yet the people she had stumbled upon, the elders who once wore wild hair for a long step, broadened their lives. If the valley's power was shared with them, someone would find that a better balance between growth and old ways could be possible. She had only one decision. She could stay and test with the true sense that go on at the heart of the valley, or she could run from the world's engineers with a seed of hope that the world would grin. She listened, too, and to the stiff hemp of the militia. The sound of every stretch changed the day around her. Vox Strand's mention suddenly fades into a voice that rises from the valley's deep green. The snow's light is stolen. With an invisible finger she made the finish. The hills that were gentle turns around, an universe that was full of honey. Let the world bend to our fire from this, she asked. She tell of Vak that he would truly with kind facing. Vak was looking stunned looks from him when her part decides her. Near it slices from the valley. They bounce with prenew. A quiet grief in her chest like a stone cross. She had whose work that in the world have failed. With thought, the gravel has any in the years again a solid. The ether to special. P-Rider could go and do again. Of the eternities. The gravity. With new, all now top. The off and embark. The world so the same grass in, and impossible a all. In the end she and eager. It for is a cause at human looking. The world so the we she read. A final introspective silence, the sound of wind against stone, the glow of pollen like distant stars breathing in our nights, suggests we may still learn how the world sustains itself.
Found this interesting? Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like, share it out, and drop your questions or ideas in the comments. Until our next adventure.